today with us a very bright group of students who are studying something completely different. Largely those doing design and of course also a bit of business thrown in as well. Let's just understand from them what it takes to study what they do and what they believe the future has in store for them. But first, let me hear from you. You were talking to me earlier and you said that, how earlier it was meant to be, you go down the tried and tested road, bacha kya banega, so on and so forth. But now India is waking up to design, you feel?
Finally, and that's a really good thing. I mean, from the whole, the regular courses like engineering and medicine for that matter, finally the mindset of the masses is, it's changing. Now people are taking courses like, the design course very seriously, and they're no longer the casual career, like, okay, probably the student is not doing that well, so they can go in that field. It is finally getting its, the due credit that it really deserves.
So when you said at home that you wanted to do something apart from what is usually the norm or accepted, it was fine. There were no long conversations at the dining table on why do you have to.
No, I think the family really supported the decision that I want to get into media communication. That too, fashion media communication, and that's extremely down to
quite niche.
Yeah, quite niche and quite specific. I mean, it's not the basic journalism that to say, and there was always support. And I think that, I can say that on behalf of everyone, that all our families really supported the decision that we are making, in terms of.
Right, there might be someone who might have her experience being slightly different.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wanted to do fashion designing, but it took me long to convince my parents. They were not very convinced. They were like, you took commerce with maths, and after doing maths, that's very difficult. So after doing maths also, you going for this designing course, why? So I was like, no, if I wanna do, I'm creative, I feel so. So I wanna do something in makeup or something. So they were like, okay, for 1 year you can do this fashion media makeup. So I was like, okay, after that,
let's try this and then see where we
can go. So after doing...
Is this still a work in progress, or now do you have them firmly in your corner?
No, now they are in my corner.
Really, that's good to know. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I always wanted to do something in fashion line, yeah. So I chose makeup as my line because I was always really inclined towards it. So I told my parents about it, that I want to get into makeup, but their reaction was, it's a very parlor kind of a job. You want to be a beautician? I like, listen, makeup is not just restricted to parlor work. But then gradually through my course, they got to know that makeup is just beyond parlor work, It's to do with ramps, the exaggerated looks, everything related, films and cinema, everything. It incorporates so much so that I had no idea of.
Right.
So I'm glad that I'm doing this course.
And I'm sure that they will be too.
Oh, yes.
Ma'am, do you believe that stereotypes are now sort of changing? Because, earlier, of course, everyone wanted, perhaps we didn't know as much. Our exposure as a society wasn't as much as what it has become. So do you sort of, in your experience, in all your experience, believe that, stereotypes are now changing at society? We're, learning to accept people with differences, more creativity, who may not want to go down the tried and tested path, as it were.
Yes, I think it's completely different now, and people and the parents, students, all are very open about it, and the students we are getting every year are very positive, and they're ready for that. It's not that we have to push them or something. I think students who are scoring very high in the school in 12, normally parents used to push them towards science or engineering. I think we are getting very intelligent students, and the best is that students understand that it's not about intelligence or about marks to get into such courses. Design is all about emotions and expression and sensitivity towards that. It's the interest. So I think that's coming up very boldly, very openly in the students. So we are very positive about it, and we are really taking it ahead very strongly, and we feel that the Indian culture and the society is changing to that extent.
Right, and changing quite rapidly. Tell me one thing, what's it been like for you when you got into design? Sort of, you were obviously, everyone gets into it with their eyes wide open, as it were. What do you want to do next, and how much of that do you believe you're prepared for?
So I'm doing fashion media communication. Earlier I didn't know about this course, but when, after 12th I got to know about this course from my senior, and I got really interested into it because it's about journalism with filmmaking and, graphics and everything, and I'm really interested towards graphics. So after this course I would really love to go into graphics or filmmaking, which, is new to the industry and a lot of people don't know about it. So obviously, it's going to grow a lot after this, and I am hoping that, I will go and, do something great in the industry. So.
What's your experience been like? Would it be fair to say that, we are sort of now acknowledging that there's so much else that you can do with yourself? Is that sort of your experience as well from what you see sort of around you? The students willing to experiment more and, families willing to allow that?
Yeah, it takes a certain amount of persuading when students come and join us in foundation year. We talk a lot about making them unlearn the habits that they've learned in school.
That would be tough, I imagine.
They have to make the transition from mugging up for exams, memorizing textbooks, into project-based learning, which means that they have to work hard all the time, and that's a big change.
Right.
For a lot of people.
Yeah, the unlearning is always a bigger challenge than learning something new. That always happens.
But we know that these people have creative potential, and that's why they're there. That's why we're there. So our challenge is to bring that out in those people and help them to discover a new way of being in terms of being a student.
Right. You were talking about your experience on a train and just something that perhaps culturally sets us apart from many other parts of the world. Go on.
Yeah, so we all were going to Jaipur for our project, and there were many foreigners in the train. So one of them, I just generally had a bit of chit chat with him. So he told me that it's very different in India. It's very different from Europe. People there, if they're sitting in a train and they're going to somewhere, they won't talk to each other. They will rather kill each other. They, just
yeah, but then exaggeration. But yes, carry on.
But but here in India, they really liked it. How we guys are there. If we don't know each other, but still we would help each other. We would talk. So they really love our culture. They definitely love our textiles and everything. But they definitely love the Indian people, the culture, the way they are. So, well, this was my experience, which I had in train. I was going
you
to
had a point to make.
When we talk about fashion, people restrict themselves that, okay, fashion design. But there's a lot to be learned and a lot to be conveyed to people, that it's not just fashion design. It's a wider variety that they actually think. We're doing fashion business management, and like Sir said, that we're culturally grounded. We really are. It's not like that we aren't taught about the foreign tourists or their likes, but we're also, with that, we gel up with our culture and their culture, so we make a new product out of it. And I think and it's pretty much accepted in the entire masses. Why in India, or why people have that mindset that if a guy is doing fashion, the people just start judging him.